official. We weren't boyfriend and girlfriend, but we were like kind of together, whatever.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the Hot Tea channel and another edition of Hot Tea History. If you frequent the Hot Tea channel, you know that we spill tea on current drama in the YouTube and influencer space on a regular basis, keeping you up to date on who is doing what. But we also do more in-depth deep dives where we take a closer look at the backgrounds and past controversies of some of your fave and least fave creators. Today's topic, Alissa Violet.
No one's ever there for me.
On June 12, 1997, in Brunswick, Ohio, Alissa Violet was born. Full name Alissa Marie Violet Butler, Alissa's education maxed out after high school, graduating from Brunswick High with more of an interest in a career without moving on to college. But the day before she graduated, guess who she met? Jake Paul. But we'll get into that shortly. Apparently, Alissa grew up in a Christian household, and as far as her life before LA, she's kept that very private and does not share the names of her parents or siblings on social media. She first became popular on Vine, having gained about 600,000 followers on the app before it was shut down. But before she was just a ghost of internet past, Jake Paul had already set his sights on the possible successful future of this new creator.
Just tell me when.
I love cheese.
Yeah, I love it. Got enough there?
I like to eat.
Okay.
We ran out of cheese.
So where's your family from? Welcome to my crib, come on in. This is the bathroom.
Hey!
Family room. And our fridge.
Alissa met Jake at a mall in Ohio where he was doing a meet and greet. He gave her his number and, long story short, they became very close. Jake eventually moved to LA but stayed in contact with Alissa, seeing her every time he would go home to Ohio for holidays. About 6 months later, Jake convinced Alissa to fly to LA to pursue her career in modeling. She almost immediately met with 5 modeling agencies, 4 of which wanted to sign with her. That solidified Alissa's decision to pack up and move to LA full-time around 2015.
Hi!
While Jake helped Alissa with her modeling career, he also featured her in a lot of his thumbnails as it seemed his videos would do better with her there. Alissa signed with both Jake's company, 10 Digit Media, along with brother Logan Paul's company, Maverick Media, in that same year. Later on down the line, while Jake continued to take 20% of what Alissa did per the terms of their contract, Logan actually decided he no longer wanted a cut from her. He apparently said that it just didn't feel right. But the relationship between Alissa Violet and Jake Paul would go down in internet history as Jalissa. Alissa Violet and Jake Paul were a couple for some time. They were always all over social media with each other, from sweet and cute pictures together to regular YouTube videos.
Jake, I'm being serious! I'm being serious! Don't! Jake! Oh my god!
Along with creating content for Team 10, Alissa was clearly in love with Jake, and this seemed like the perfect match. A loving and devoted relationship for both of them, along with a blossoming career. Alissa was once quoted to say, "I was head over heels for this kid. I would do anything for him. That's why I signed a contract for 5 years. I believed in him and he believed in me." Things seemed wonderful for the duo, so it was a surprise when Alissa took to Snapchat one day and shared that all of her belongings had been packed and she was being kicked out of the Team 10 house.
Jake's kicking me out. He threw all my stuff downstairs and put a lock on the door. I'm not going to be making videos with Jake anymore. He's been treating me like absolute shit for a while, so I'm pretty excited to leave.
This would become quite the messy situation. Jake's reaction to the Snapchats was not a good one, and he took to Twitter to quickly defend himself, saying, "Predicted this is what she'd do. Jalissa was real. The problem is she cheated on me. I am the victim, not her." He also said, "I think she is super talented and means well deep down. However, I can't have her in my space after having my heart broken. We will work it out." Jake and Alissa had said a few times, amongst a few different videos, that Jalissa was not real and that they were just friends. Jake's tweets are now deleted, but before they were, Alissa responded with her own explanation as to the nature of their relationship. Alissa tweeted, "How could Jalissa be real when he had girl after girl over every single night in front of me? You're kicking me out and telling everyone I cheated? Please tell me how we're still friends after this." Possibly it could have started as something fake and blossomed into something real. Nonetheless, Alissa shared a note to Twitter that she titled "The Truth." A portion of this read, "Then he would try and be cute with me the next morning and expect me to be okay with it. I have cried myself to sleep almost every single night living in this house. He would tell me he loved me, then hook up with a girl in front of me that same day. I loved him and he used it to his advantage for his company Team 10 and to make money off of me. He always tells me I wouldn't be shit without him." As if a breakup isn't bad enough, to have to go through it online with back and forth tweets and posts, along with the internet watching and commenting. It was widely speculated that the relationship between Jake and Alissa was fake and done just for views, and they said this themselves as well. But based on their accounts of everything, someone wasn't on the same page as the other. Or someone was lying, or both of them were lying. Jake, being Jake, then decided to take this all a step further and released what would be a steady flow of ongoing diss tracks within the situation titled "It's Every Day, Bro."
And you know I kick them out if they ain't with the crew. Yeah, I'm talking about you begging for attention, talking shit on Twitter too. But you still hit my phone last night. It was 4:52 and I got the text approved and all the recordings too.
No, that's enough. But if you caught the line there, you'll notice he said, "And you know I kicked them out if they ain't with the crew. Yeah, I'm talking about you. You're begging for attention, talking shit on Twitter too. But you still hit my phone last night. It was 4:52, and I got the text to prove, and all the recordings too. Don't make me tell the truth." An obvious dig at Alissa, which of course didn't go without retaliation from her and her new crew, but before she hopped on the diss track train, she uploaded to YouTube explaining her side of the story in full.
I would just always see that he's hanging around like all these girls and stuff. It's like, oh, whatever, like I didn't think anything of it. Like, and then he always argued that like we weren't together, so I'm not cheating. Just like stuff like that.
She explained that she ended up moving into the Team 10 house and they shared a bed and did all the things that couples do, they just never had the title of boyfriend and girlfriend. Alissa even says that Jake would play mind games with her and kick her out of the room she was in so he could bring a girl in there. At one point, Jake even dropped the big 3-word sentence and told Alissa that he loved her, only to fly another girl out from Ohio a few days later and proceed to hook up with her throughout that week.
There's nothing I could do about it because like it's his house. I'm in a contract with him. I'm basically where I'm at because of him. And like I didn't really have a place to tell him that he was wrong, even though he was really, really wrong. And that happened all the time.
She goes into detail on the emotions this situation would cause her and that something clicks in your mind when you're in love with someone and you can hear them literally upstairs hooking up with someone else. Alissa does eventually get down to brass tacks and admits that because of the way Jake treated her day after day after day, she did it back to him and he didn't like it, so he kicked her out. The song Jake released, Alissa calls bullying, and the lyric that refers to her texting him is obvious because she was still texting him because she still cared about him very much. But even though all those emotions were still clearly there, Alissa ventured into a new genre of content off of this relationship. Just a couple of weeks after Jake left his musical contribution permanently placed in the world, Alissa clapped back with Rice Gum, technically it is his song, and hopped on her own diss track, It's Every Night Sis.
That will be your last hit like an 8-ball.
Nah, wrong call, yeah, it's Jake, like from State Farm.
I know these songs aren't meant to be good, and they aren't, but to be honest, she did way better in my opinion.
Skate girls, but the hooker said you paid for it. Me and Rice in a house with like 8 floors. Ride your brother's nuts, you're a squirrel for his acorn.
Okay, it's still not good though, no. The drama continued and actually got way worse when Jake's brother Logan got involved and Alissa was living for it.
Hey Jake, I made one phone call. I got the same house as you. Same cars too, it's really not that hard. Oh hey, by the way, welcome to the top, little brother. Feels good, huh? But let's not forget how you got here.
Also not good. No, it's just not. Just stop. Logan uploaded his diss to his brother just a pinch under a month after Alissa joined Rice Gum for his. Logan's video, The Fall of Jake Paul, got over 200 million views and showcased a moment in YouTube history that a lot of the internet era will not forget.
Oh, that's Alissa Violet, used to be your chick. Now she in the low gang and you know she on my team.
Needless to say, the relationship that Jake and Alissa had was long gone. It was revisited during a Shane Dawson documentary where Shane was investigating Jake's background and the possibility of him being a sociopath. So Shane thought that he would ask Jake's ex-girlfriend, as the relationship ended very badly and very public.
I want this to be like my final thing to put out there and just leave with. I think after just like the Jake and Logan thing kind of like came up and like hit the fan, people have the wrong impression of me.
An emotional and nervous Alissa recalls her relationship with Jake and goes into detail on things that were never really told before.
And you guys weren't dating?
No, we never officially dated, ever. Yeah, I'm always known as the ex, but we
Yeah, literally, I'm probably gonna call this like the ex-girlfriend, and it's not real.
No.
She explains that while the relationship was never legit or official, they did hook up. Alissa says that she chased Jake for a long time and wanted to be with him, but he wouldn't commit, and this hurt her.
Put me through so much shit, I need to know what we are, and he was always just brushing it off, being like, oh, I don't know what we are, like, we'll figure it out, da-da-da, like, I have to go to an audition, I have to go film, like, we never really established what we were.
One of the worst times he would treat her like this was once when there was a ski trip planned with all of their friends. He told Alissa she was not allowed to come because he wanted to hook up with the other girls. So while he was away with everyone and she was left alone, she made the decision to reach out to Logan.
I was so hurt, I was so disgusted, I just was at my breaking point, and then I hit up Logan and I was like, yo, like, let's hang out. And then we all went to a club, like a bunch of our friends together, and then me and Logan hooked up. And I don't even feel comfortable saying that out loud.
Jalissa was dead and buried, for sure. But when one door closes, another window opens. I believe that's the saying. Whatever, Alissa moved on, and in 2017, she moved into the Clout House with boyfriend FaZe Banks. Alissa and FaZe Banks were all loved up and being a cute couple, but it was fairly short-lived as it didn't take long for Jake Paul to kind of reinsert himself back into Alissa's life.
Was assaulted by a man last night who is in the same community and space as us.
Jake uploaded a video accusing FaZe Banks of assaulting his assistant Megan at a nightclub in LA one night. Megan explains that she was on her way out of the club when Banks all of a sudden threw his arm around her neck from behind and dragged her backwards towards his table.
And I looked up at him and I realized immediately that it was Banks, and so I got away from him and went back to the people that I was with.
Jake's main concern, supposedly, was that FaZe did not know who Megan was, so if this had been some other random girl, the story may not have been brought to light. It was just a coincidence that she is Jake Paul's assistant and Banks was dating Jake's ex. The FaZe/Violet camp didn't hesitate in defense and jumped on their own YouTube video pretty quickly, with Banks titling the upload, "My Girlfriend Was Assaulted," an obvious jab at the original Jake Paul video.
Excuse me, I know I'm frazzled right now, but who wouldn't be? I don't think I've ever been this mad or upset in my whole life, and it's for good reason.
Banks is furious throughout this video, but explains his side of the story in regards to the assault allegation as well as the cheating allegation.
And keep in mind, guys, everybody that I went there with is also friends with Alissa and knows Alissa, okay? The people that I'm around are all friends with her, they all know her. The fact that I made out with a girl, absolutely untrue, didn't happen.
His side of the story throws allegations back at Team 10 and even adds on an additional one, saying that he thinks it's entirely possible that two members of Team 10 who were also at the club where he allegedly assaulted the assistant drugged him. And Alissa joins Banks during this video to speak her side on Jake as a person.
I've known him for 3 or 4 years. Honestly, he did assault me a few times. He would spit in my face, and this has happened multiple times. He would spit at my feet, the ground that I walk on. He actually spit on Erica one time too.
The alleged abuse that Alissa talks about Jake inflicting on her apparently left permanent markings, as she explains.
This scar right here were from thorns, and my entire arm was bleeding. My whole fucking hand, I had to dig out thorns. He was laughing the whole time. I ran upstairs, he dragged me down the stairs, and I actually have...
Yeah, that's been on your leg since I met you.
This has been here for 2 years, dude.
And in defense to Banks, she explains that he's never even remotely ventured into any kind of aggressive or violent behavior.
Have I ever put a mark on you?
You've never put one mark on me.
Have I ever
never. Never, not once.
I'm not aggressive to women. I'm not aggressive to anybody in general unless I have a genuine reason to be.
He's never laid a finger on me, ever Never once.
Alyssa and Banks seemed to be very loved up for a while and even had a scary moment together that possibly made them thankful for each other during a Thanksgiving trip to Ohio. Around Thanksgiving of 2017, Alyssa and Faze Banks headed to Alyssa's home state, Ohio, and headed out to a Cleveland bar called Barley House. During the time at the spot, Banks and Alyssa got into multiple altercations that resulted in Faze Banks breaking a finger and Alissa Violet getting a black eye and busted lip among some other bruises. After spending some time with Alyssa's family, they all decide to head out on their last night in Ohio, and Banks, with the intention of impressing Alyssa's family and just having a good time, speaks about how his mood was nothing but positive when he explained the incident in a YouTube upload. The importance of Banks's and Alyssa's mindsets will be more clear once we talk about what the establishment had to say about their behavior.
What they didn't post are the tapes that you're about to see, and they refute the claim that... So these two people, these are just patrons that were in the bar. These are the people that Mr. Banks and Alyssa got into a fight. Barley staff, get out of here.
Long story short, Alyssa, Banks, and some of Alyssa's friends, including a girl who allegedly works at a sister bar of Barley House, who knows everyone and gets a little special treatment, head down to the basement to use some more private bathrooms in order to avoid a line at the main bar area restrooms. While this area of the bar is normally restricted, access is cleared with one of the higher-up members of staff who lets the bouncer down there know that it's all good. At a different point in the night, they are back down there at those bathrooms and a different bouncer comes along whose name is Richie and asks that Banks get moving and go upstairs, to which Banks says he's fine with that but just wanted to wait for Alyssa to come out of the bathroom first. This is where things took a turn, as how Banks tells it is that this bouncer shoved him first, but the footage that was released by Barley House told a different story.
He wanted to wait for Alyssa, who was in a woman's room. Things got ugly. As they're escorted to the main floor, bouncers are escorting Ricky on the steps. Alyssa, with a hat, is riding on the back of a bouncer. Eventually, you see Ricky walking out on his own, disproving his claim that he was nearly choked out by the bouncer.
Barley House was painting an alternative picture to Banks' story and said that he was the aggressor in the whole situation and he sparked all of this just because he was asked to leave the restricted area. In other footage prior to this, the manager of Barley says that Banks is feigning fists at the bouncer Richie, but Banks claims that he was just dancing and was not at all being aggressive.
His reaction is anything but calm.
You see him way upright. You can see him waving his hands there, taunting. Aggressive.
Anyways, after the shove fest, it progressed into a little scuffle, and then apparently Richie gets Banks into a headlock and 3 other bouncers appear and, quote, drag him up the stairs by his neck. He says all he could really hear was the girls, including Alyssa, freaking out and screaming. By the time he made it upstairs, he was able to walk calmly out. Then Alyssa rushed outside, quite worked up by the whole situation. She had also apparently been pushed down the stairs while this was happening and got a scrape up her leg, so she was really mad at this point. This is also the point where Alyssa pulls out her phone to record because Banks is trying to get the bouncers to bring the manager out so he can discuss what has just happened, to which they are just laughing at him.
At this point, Alyssa's focus is toward these people, and she starts recording them. They still don't like it, and the girl comes up, punches her in the face with her phone.
The girl smacks off her hand and swings at her. And then one gentleman is just breaking it up.
As Alyssa is filming, some other customers start to yell at her and call her names, and Banks, of course, yells back in defense, causing a male in that group to square up to him. Messy. Now, Banks' recollection of the incident is that these 3 people are irritated that Alyssa is filming, so eventually one of the girls launches herself at Alyssa and strikes her across the face with her phone. Quickly following that, the guy apparently shoves her and then is hit with a water bottle from Banks' retaliation.
You just saw Mr. Banks throw a glass.
As you heard the guy say, I grabbed a glass. No, I grabbed a water bottle. I throw a water bottle at this guy's face and I tell him if he touches my girlfriend again, I'm beating his ass. The water bottle bounces off. This wasn't a f***ing glass.
Even though the wiser decision for Banks, Alyssa, and her family would have been to just leave the scene and talk to the police and just get away from it all, they don't do that, and they head back.
Turn away from her and try to ignore it first. Here's Alyssa trying to ignore her.
This is the same woman who just punched Alyssa in the face.
Trying to ignore her.
A different girl hits Alyssa across the face again with a phone again, and it all blows up again.
This girl punches Alyssa in the face. This guy swipes her arms away first. I went after him.
Banks comes from behind.
And while that's happening, the guy grabs Alyssa by her neck.
And that guy did nothing but try to break up the fight.
Banks, in an attempt to protect his then-girlfriend, freaks out and starts hitting the man in the dome from behind. It was only after they got away from this situation that Banks realized his finger was broken. Banks apparently tried to contact Barley numerous times but never heard anything from them and claims that they were being incredibly uncooperative. The manager of Barley maintains that Banks and Alyssa are, quote, instigators, liars, and manipulators. The manager in local Cleveland news said that Banks and Alissa just did it for attention. This literally made the news. Banks says that news channel was incredibly untruthful when reporting on this and cut the footage of him getting dragged up the stairs and didn't even mention Alissa being hit in the face twice and grabbed around the neck and all of that. Banks speculates that the news was biased because they were in partnership with Barley House, but that was actually debunked. Banks addresses the death threats that were sent to Barley House by his fans and requested that end, and while he thanks his fans for the support, he does not condone the threats or harassment to the staff there. But as a whole, even though Alissa and Banks seemed to keep getting into drama, their relationship with each other seemed to be strong. But it wasn't, and they broke up. In 2019, the lovebirds split after cheating allegations from Alissa saying that Banks had been unfaithful, and she fully caught him in the act. A lot of back and forth on Twitter with this whole situation, with Alissa fully going off on Banks, even sharing messages between the two of them. Banks eventually posted a statement titled Alissa, and in there he says that during their relationship, they both did wrong and both hurt each other, but he says that there are two sides to every story, and neither of them have been perfect. He chooses not to go into detail on much, but does admit that he did something stupid, and it isn't as easy as who is right and who is wrong as there is additional context. He adds that they were broken up for 6 months at the time of this statement, and that the stupid incident was a year prior and still hurts them both to this day. Banks reckons that the love that he and Alissa shared was super rare and special, and he doubts he'll ever have something like that for the rest of his life. A little before this very public fight and subsequent split between himself and Alissa, Banks had been on the No Jumper podcast with Adam22 and admitted to having a physical relationship with none other than Tana Mojo, but clarified that they were just friends. Fans and followers speculated that the fight was based around that confession, but that turned out to have nothing to do with it. Alissa backed that up by saying, "I love Tana and I knew about everything when we first started dating 2 years ago. This is literally terrible timing." Well, cutting to recently, before we continue real quick, June of this year, Alissa shared some pics to her Instagram, and it was speculated and then basically confirmed that she was hanging out with Banks again in the back of a car, and then after getting all handsy and cute again. Alissa posted these with the caption, "Just friends," to which Banks commented, "Shake my head, you didn't even tag me." Banks shared these to his Instagram story and said, "See you in hell, Alissa Violet." This got fans thinking that the two might be back together, but as of right now, in this second, there's no word of that. Banks said during a recent Hollywood Fix interview that he is very, very single and wants to stay that way, and that when he dated Alissa, she was a special case and he just wants to focus on work now. But hopping back into 2019, that year also held some alleged scam behavior for Alissa. Alissa teamed up with a sunglasses company called Cheek and did a huge giveaway where her fans could win a Louis Vuitton bag. All they had to do was follow and like and do that whole thing. You've seen it a million times and it always seems really sus. Anyways, the winner was said to be announced that following Friday night on Alissa's Instagram story. Well, confusion started when Alissa changed the caption on that post to "Long Day," announcing the winner's Friday, then changed it again to simply "Long Day." In amidst this confusion, more came when people would attempt to follow the link to Cheek's account to follow them, only to find that the link was a dud and didn't go anywhere. Cheek, the company, was pretty frustrated by that, but made a backup account called Cheek Wins and posted again, this time with more instructions on how to enter the giveaway. A week later, the winners were announced on Cheek's backup account, but after that announcement, nothing. Apparently the winners didn't hear anything from either Cheek nor Alissa, and apparently did not receive their bags. One winner told BuzzFeed that communication was terrible with Cheek, and they were often rather rude and would take forever to get back to them. A few tried to reach out to Alissa via DM. Alissa did eventually respond, saying that the bag had been shipped, quote, 2 weeks ago. Super weird and confusing situation that was obviously an attempt to grow a following for this sunglasses company, but pretty much backfired, and now they don't even exist at all. But before they were no longer around, they did say that this was definitely not a scam. Since then, Alissa was kind of quiet on YouTube and really across the internet, only doing some modeling here and there, until about 9 months ago in 2021 when she made an appearance on the BFFs podcast.
Why do you think you kind of stayed out of the spotlight?
A
Why
little
was that?
hiatus.
Yeah.
A little hiatus, maybe.
Little hiatus. I think I just kind of wanted to focus on my mental health because like this stuff really wasn't making me happy anymore.
Considering everything that Alissa went through with Jake Paul, it's understandable that her mental health and relationship with social media was at a low point. She made it clear that she had feelings for Jake, serious feelings that is, back when all that happened, and to be kind of used for the camera and let on a bit would do some damage. And then to immediately jump into some of the biggest drama in the history of the internet with none other than his brother, and then continue the drama into the next serious relationship, it must have taken a toll after a while. So, in my opinion, a break from social media was very much needed for Alissa.
I didn't want to come back unless I was like my best self and happy all the time. So, yeah.
So are you back now? Is this like, hey world, I'm back?
I guess you could say that. I don't want to put too much pressure on YouTube just because I wasn't enjoying it for a little bit.
She mentions that she does want to stay in the influencer world, but wants to do content for herself and not for other people like she has been doing. At this time, she was also in the beginning stages of launching a clothing brand, which I of course then looked into, and I'm unable to find anything about it, so I'm guessing that either everything is still in the works or the project has been put on pause. This year, Alissa shared on Instagram that she was suffering with her health both mentally and physically. In addition to struggling with her mental health, Alissa also broke some bones and shared on Instagram saying, "I've never really shared my health on social media because my anxiety doesn't let me, and I never thought anyone would actually care. But in the last 2 months, I managed to fracture my right hip and 2 ribs. Not to mention my mental health has been at an all-time low the last couple of months, so just wanted to let anyone know if you're having a shitty day, week, month, or year, you're definitely not alone and I'm here for you. We're gonna get through it and I promise, everything is temporary, even broken bones. Love you." The most recent YouTube upload from Alissa, as of today, when we made this video, was back in April 2022, and it was a little mini vlog where she takes us along for a photo shoot that she was on that day.
I haven't shot since before COVID pretty much, so I'm excited. And I got these extensions. They don't match my hair color, they don't really blend, but whatever.
This vlog was literally what she called it, just random and a little all over the place, but in my opinion it shows that Alissa still very much wants to create content, but is maybe having some difficulty landing on where she fits in the space. After years and years of basically being treated like a prop for the Paul brothers, now Alissa can be who she wants and create what she wants, and it seems that she might be struggling with figuring out exactly what she wants to do. In my opinion, she does have talent on camera and clearly enjoys the space, but as she mentions throughout this vlog, she parties hard. A lot of drinking and partying can be a detriment to the creative mind as well as mental health overall. So the excess of partying, along with never really before being a creator on her own, could be why Alissa might be feeling a little lost in the world of content creation.
What's your biggest fear?
Biggest fear?
Alissa is active on TikTok and seemingly posts cryptic little hints as to her possible past loss of identity as an influencer, but all round, she is not as active on social media as she used to be. A lot of things have happened in the past couple of years for everyone, and inspiration may have taken a hit for her, but I also think that Alissa is in the time of her life where she is rediscovering who she is and finding her footing in the world of the internet. As much as there has been some past controversies aplenty, I do think that Alissa is not one of the worst that we have in this space, and I hope that whatever she is going through and whatever her plans and goals may be, she keeps her mental health and personal boundaries at the forefront of her mind and succeeds in whatever she sets out to do. But that is actually going to be it for today's deep dive, you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you enjoy our Hot Tea History series. If you do, don't forget to leave this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the Hot Tea channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new uploads. For now, you've earned it. I bleach.